Welcome to the Flowerlounge, a place for conversations with wildly creative people and a little plant-loving wisdom to help you experience life in full bloom. I'm Katie Hess, flower alchemist and founder of Lotus Way, and I believe in a world where we're all living at our personal edge. Welcome to this week's episode of the Flowerlounge. This is the Moonshine episode coming at you with Katie and Kristina Wingeier, intuitive astrologer. We do this episode once a month and we change the format a little bit. So instead of coming out on new moon, we're just going to come out on the first of every month. So it's super easy to remember. So join us here every first of the month for the latest and greatest with the cosmos and astrology and stars and flowers and all things Mother Nature. Thanks for being with us, Kristina.
Thank you, Katie. It's excited to try this new format today. So what we're going to do is kind of identified some themes that we're going to be working with throughout the month. And then we'll just go through chronologically and give you all the big aspects and the big points of excitement in the cosmos. So there really is a shift, a difference in the beginning and like the middle of the month. The energy really does start to shift around the middle of the month. And so we'll talk about that as well. So some of the themes are completing unfinished business. We've got a lot of planets in retrograde at the beginning of the month. So we're like clearing out and any leftover tensions from that intense lunar eclipse that we just had, especially before the new moon, which is the last eclipse. And also just kind of like tying up loose ends and just making sure that everything's in order, right? It's August. It's also that kind of that time of the year where you're trying to get organized again and often going back to school or getting back into that fall vibe. So we're really going to be starting out with this kind of tying up and clearing out. There's a lot of emphasis on heart-to-heart communication and really visioning the future that you want to live in. And that's a visioning from the heart, actually. We are going to be coming back to Earth after eclipse season, and things are going to be showing up to support us in getting more grounded. And also we have a gorgeous full moon in Pisces, which is really all about embodied creative flow. So it's good stuff, right? Sounds good.
Sounds like an amazing month.
I think it is going to be a good month, right? So we're going to start out. The first aspect that I really want to talk about does happen at the beginning of the month on August 1st. And it is a little bit of a tense aspect. It's a square. So in astrology, squares are just, you need to exert some effort to change a situation, right? Sometimes it's a little frustrating. Sometimes it's a little challenging, but ultimately you have this opportunity to try to do something in a new way and come up with a new solution whenever there's a square. So we're going to have this Mars retrograde in Aquarius squaring Uranus and Taurus. And they had a square once before. They've been square dancing for a while. That was back in May when they had their square. And so this is kind of like what's simmering under the surface, right? With that Mars retrograde, really wanting freedom.
Are you talking May? Are you talking May of this year?
I am talking May of this year.
Okay, so we can go back to May of 2018 and just sort of review if there's anything tricky-micky going on.
Yeah, especially around the middle of the month. That's when Uranus moved into Taurus for the first time in a long time, and Mars moved into Aquarius, and they pretty much made that square right away because they were both entering those signs, and those signs are square each other by sign. So yeah, look back to mid-May and see if was there anything that kind of, little tensions, maybe it's coming back around to kind of finish it up or get clarity around something. There's really a desire for freedom from restriction whenever there's Uranus, and that Mars wants you to take action. So you might watch out for kind of impulsive behavior, but I do think this will be it was just like have an unconventional way to tell the truth of your authenticity, truth-telling authenticity. And sometimes you have to get do it a little bit differently in order to, speak your truth, as we are evolving beings and we're always changing. And so you have to get out of the boxes that you put yourself in.
Wow. I love that. Unconventional way of telling the truth. Truth-telling,
right?
Love
and
that.
If you think about it, a square is a box. Just like if you draw the square, the symbol is like a box. So you want to get out of the box. You want to free yourself. And wherever there's Uranus aspect, there's a desire for liberation. Okay.
Love that.
So I think it's a big, kind of start to the month.
Can I just say real quick, something I've been saying a lot recently, which is when we get a really challenging aspect arise in our lives, that it's actually showing us the key to our awakening, the key
100%,
to our awakening.
yes.
So we can just use August 1st as an opportunity if something like some sort of conflict arises, right? And then, like you said, find a way to see out of the box.
Absolutely. That key to the awakening. I love that. That is so beautiful. And I think that also takes us to that theme of the heart to heart communication. And that heart, the key is compassion a lot of times, like being able to find more compassion for yourself in that moment, for the other person. So that is a waking up again and again and again when we can return to that place, even for a moment, right?
Right.
Yeah, totally. So that's Wednesday, August 1st. And then there's really, moon stuff for a while. And then on Monday, August 6th, we have another opportunity to get out of the box of the square. This time it's a Sun in Leo square Jupiter in Scorpio. So this is the two the Sun is not a planet, but in astrology, they sometimes call it a planet, but we know it's a star. But this is the two in astrology, they have the most gravitational pull of anything else in the solar system. So that's a lot of energy, right? It's strong, forceful, magnetic energy.
The Sun and Jupiter, you're saying?
Yeah, because Jupiter is the second largest gravitational field. So this is really, though, kind of like optimistic, right? And there's possibilities, but there's also like maybe kind of an exaggeration or an overindulgence quality because they're so big. So it's kind of about stretching out of your comfort zone, but watch out for any kind of ego agendas. And if you have an opportunity to take a leap of faith that day around something, go for it. Like, why not? Why not try?
Ooh, interesting timing. Okay, that's August 6th.
Okay, now we want to. Is that a big day for you? No,
it's just more building stuff.
Just more building. Yeah. Okay.
It's like that's now or never. That's no turning back day.
Right. It is actually. Wow, that is pretty interesting that that's lining up. Fascinating. And on that same day, though, there's a really, really beautiful, harmonious occurrence, which is Venus is changing signs. She's moving from Virgo into Libra. And Libra is one of Venus's home signs. And so this is really this quality of sweetness and harmony and cooperation that we can find with Venus and Libra. And it can really help to smooth out any ruffled feathers from any of the tensions that we might be experiencing. Whenever Venus is involved, especially in her home signs, we want to think about beauty and harmony and making things more lovely and beauty, taking care of yourself even, or making your space really nice, or just doing those little things that really change the environment. It's very social, Libra, so it will help bring some cooperation and communication, I think. So that's an aspect we can really lean into all month long, as Venus will be in Libra. And go look at her in the sky, y'all. She is almost to like her maximum brightness and height in the western sky after sunset. It is fantastic. No, she's so gorgeous. Don't you think she's gorgeous, Katie?
Absolutely gorgeous.
She's absolutely gorgeous. You must go look at her. And then if you do, and you just trace a line, an arc over above you, you'll see Jupiter, and continue tracing to the east and you'll see Saturn. So go look at the planets, everybody. It's really fun.
I heard last night that Mars is going to be super duper close at the end of the month. Is that true?
Yes, Mars is really close right now. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Very close. Very, 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 very bright. It looks so big in the sky. Coming up later after dark, not around sunset, much later. I'm usually seeing Mars in the early morning. And speaking of Mars, on Tuesday, August 7th, Venus and Mars are in a trine aspect. Now, this is a harmonious flow of energy, whereas that square is like the frustration. And this is the opportunity to work together to maybe achieve a goal or, come in together with others and conversations finding flow and just coming into balance. And that sounds like a nice thing. Yeah.
It sounds great.
Yes. So cooperation, communication. The same day, we do have another planet stationing retrograde. Just to further the retrograde energy, this is Uranus. Uranus is an outer planet, though, so not so much like something you're going to feel the way we feel the inner planet retrogrades, but it just is the time for Uranus to stand still and then go into review of the area in your chart chart where Uranus has been traveling in Taurus. And it really does kind of just like Venus is, I think, the only planet for a while that's not retrograde. So that feminine, bright, harmonious energy is holding us strong and steady, which is really kind of cool.
She's basically just holding us together.
She's just everything else together.
Is going the other direction.
You know, retrogrades aren't terrible. They're just a time for review and inner work. And, you know, okay, I'm not going to lie. This Mercury retrograde that we're in right now has been very technologically frustrating for me. But I guess it's just an opportunity to walk away from the technology.
Rest and review. Rest and review.
Yes. R&R.
And refine.
Oh. Rest, review, and refine.
Rest, review, and refine.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. So that's happening. And Uranus will be retrograde until January of 2019. They go retrograde for big chunks of time, these outer planets. So, you know.
What I think we should do is we should offer an entire episode in the British accent. What do you think?
Hey, darling, the Brits will make fun of us, though. They'll be like, where are you from? Your accents suck.
All right. Okay.
We can slip into accents every now and again, though, just for our own
amusement.
Amuse-bouche.
Okay. Amuse-bouche. I was going to say the same thing.
Were you really?
Yes.
We need to go eat a snack, clearly. Okay. So, but with this Uranus retrograde, look to your Taurus house in your chart. That's like what's being activated. That's what's being reviewed. Okay. Everybody, you got a Taurus house. Check it out.
So go to...
Oh, you can go to astro.com.
You always go to astro.com. I've been to cafeastrology.com. Mm-hmm. Either way, you just got to know time, day, year, place, and plug it in. And they're going to look for...
Taurus, the bull.
Taurus. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Wednesday, August 8th is a very magical day indeed.
Oh.
Let's have a little magic. What do you say?
Yes.
Okay. Magic is good, right?
Magic is really good.
Magic is really good. This is a really special day. 2 reasons. Well, probably a million reasons, but 2 reasons that I'm going to talk about. So there is this thing that happens every year on August 8th, and it's called the Lionsgate Portal. And what it is that our sun is lining up with this star, you know, stars are suns, called Sirius. It's a bigger star and brighter than our own sun. And it's known as our spiritual sun. And it holds knowledge of like higher divine realms and these metaphysical teachings. And they line up at this day every year. And it's a very beautiful opportunity for a lot of heart opening and light coming through. And Sirius is even like lined up with the pyramids in Giza at this time. And it's just this portal of opening that happens every year on this day. So that's really cool. And at the same time, on the 8th, we're going to have that Mercury Cazimi that happens every time Mercury goes retrograde.
I love that word.
It's a magical word, right? I mean, it has a Z, and Z's are really fun. These are zippy. And the Cazimi, that is when any planet is exactly lined up with the sun. It's in the heart of the sun. You can ask for a favor or a wish or get a download. You know, it's a very magical moment. And this Mercury Cazimi, Mercury's in Leo, and the sun is, you know, about wisdom and divine knowledge and this Lion's Gate. I just think it's a day to really pay attention to your heart, follow your heart, and to be open to receiving an intuitive download or creative inspiration or just, you know, to magic, really. And it's Wednesday, it's Mercury's day also. So it's like an anything can happen day, and really it can. So.
Okay. So get out your phones, plug in your calendar, August 8th, leave yourself a little tiny window of time, just space to allow the magic to arise.
Exactly. For those people who are geeky like me and want to know exact time that this Cazimi is happening, it's at 7:06 p.m. Pacific time. So something that I like to do on Mercury Cazimi, if it's sunny outside, which it is at 7 o'clock at this time of the year where I live, is I go outside and I feel the sun moving through my body, like through my heart. And I look at my shadow on the ground and I recognize that all that light of the sun and the energy of Mercury is moving through my body and making that shadow, and really Sirius as well. So all that light. So I like to feel it even this Cazimi. I think it'll be really nice to feel it come in the back of the heart and like shine out the front of the heart. I think it'll be a really beautiful thing to do if the sun is out. I hope it is.
Wow, that's amazing. And then for those folks who say are like on the East Coast and it's 10 p.m. when this occurs, Pacific time?
Yeah. So light a candle and work with light that way, right?
Okay.
And you can feel it anyway. I also think what's a really cool thing to have on your phone is a star watching app. Like I have one called Night Sky. So you can literally like move it around and see where exactly the sun is in relation to where you're sitting and where Mercury is. And you can just kind of orient yourself and just visualize. So yeah.
Okay, that works.
Yeah. So that's a good day. Let's have it. Because the next day we've got a little bit of tension. So just
really enjoy it. Well,
enjoy that magic before it all goes south. No, it's not that bad. It's just a little bit of a reality check because we've got another square.
Okay.
And this time it's Venus in Libra with a square to Saturn in Capricorn. So this is really just about kind of like reviewing and reassessing any commitments that you might have made, just kind of being responsible and maybe you need to start a conversation about maybe some time management or some distribution of responsibilities. It's a really good day for that kind of clarification, and try to stay out of like stories about like rejection or, like with the squares and with Saturn and Capricorn, it may not feel super friendly and lovey-dovey kind of feelings, but just like be responsible, like reassess. It's a good day to get clear and to get redistributed and then move forward from that.
I love reprioritizing, right? I love that.
Yeah, reprioritizing. Exactly. But it may feel a little bit, you come to
Crunchy.
You come to work on Thursday, you've had the Venus, the Cazimi, you're like all buzzing in your heart, and then somebody's like, rah, 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 and you're like, oh, so
Right,
don't take it personally. Well, and probably like maybe, take your elixirs or, set yourself up for success that day. What are we loving this month, Katie, anyway?
Yeah, I'm absolutely loving the fringed orchid. The one we're working with in the Flower Revolution program is next level. It's so good. It's like, it just helps you tap in and tune in to things in a really deep way so that you sort of know what's coming. Like that can be anything from like, just sitting on the earth and really, really tuning in to the earth and knowing, like being able to ask the earth for insights and knowing the timing for things. It can also mean like, tuning into another person and anticipating what kind of attention or response they need in order to like facilitate a really good communication, tapping into groups. So, all around, I think that it's supportive of everything you're saying this month because, just to be able to tap into something and sort of get a preview of what you need before you respond is really helpful.
Oh, that's so helpful. That space. It's like a Cazimi. It's like a Cazimi in a bottle.
It is.
Right?
It is actually. It's like, it's this weird, like, you feel like you're plugging into people in a different way and you just know. Like, you just know, what to say and like how they want to be interacted with. It's really the most bizarre thing I've ever experienced, but I love it.
Oh, that's awesome. That is so perfect. That really feeds into that heart-to-heart communication because that electromagnetic frequency and field of the heart is so strong and so powerful. And they get so much information that way anyway, right?
Exactly.
Very cool. I love that. I love it too. And it's a pretty cool looking flower.
It's really electric looking. Yeah.
It looks like a neuron.
Totally.
Fascinating. Cool. So Flower Evolution, if you guys, we did a great call talking about that whole program. People can access that still, can't they?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep,
Okay.
yep. It's up on our website.
Ah, cool. Okay.
Yeah, we talked about, if you didn't hear it, Kristina talked about the astrology for 6 months going all the way into January of 2019. So it's a fun call.
It was fun. We were a little serious because we were on film, but okay, so here we go. Yes, the next thing, we've got a new moon coming and it's the last eclipse of eclipse season. So that new moon is on August 11th. And before the moon meets up with the sun and we have the partial eclipse, the moon makes a conjunction with that north node, which is so beautiful because it is, again, like our evolutionary path becomes very clear and it comes from the heart. So all this heart-to-heart communication, all this, we know what to say, we know what to offer, is all just lining up. And we have this beautiful new moon, partial solar eclipse on the 11th. And the theme that we're looking at is visioning the future you want to live in, right? This pure-heartedness and this leading from the heart. And the shadow side would be ego agenda. It's all about me, going too far, and just like with your idea and not really taking others into consideration. So anchor into the wisdom of your heart. We've got some beautiful support by Saturn and Uranus, providing this lovely ground for you to root your visions in. And also there's this new moon is conjunct an asteroid goddess called Pallas Athena, which is again about taking action and wisdom. And since it's all in Leo, it's all heart-based. And Mercury retrograde as well is involved in that as well.
You know what I was going to say, just thinking as you're talking, is that whenever we have an agenda, it seems like it's because we're focused on something that's happening in the future, right?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So when that aspect is coming up, what is that, new moon, just being like really focusing on listening to people and being in the present moment, it's basically impossible to go to the shadow side, because when you're in the moment, you can't be pushing an agenda for something for the future, right?
Yeah. And if you're really in the moment and you're present, you're probably not in your mind, like trying to like think of what to say or to rehearse or to like get stuck in a story or a narrative that you want to make sure you get across. Right. And that's also being in the past. I think it's being in the past and the future. It's pretty much just not being in the present.
So new moon, we can really just give ourselves that's on a weekend too, give ourselves the luxury of just being present.
Yes, it is luxurious. You have a ritual for this, I believe. What is it?
Ritual. All right. We talked about dreaming and planning for the next 6 months. So you had said this was a really good time from August to January. So time to get out your notebooks, your dream books, your visioning books, and vision what you want from your heart. And then also decide what actions to take, but take action from your heart is a really nice way that you would put it.
Yeah. And, we will be also tying up the loose ends around this eclipse cycle that's been happening since May, since the nodes moved into Leo and Aquarius in May of 2017. So this new moon in Leo is the last eclipse this eclipse season. In 6 months, we'll have the full moon in Leo. It will be the last Leo eclipse for 9 years or so, and that'll be another total lunar eclipse. So, it's a big... that 6 month, even if it's not eclipse season, when it's a new moon in whatever sign, in 6 months, it'll be the full moon in that sign. That's a really good planning time for whatever you're visioning in on the new moon, is that 6 months, and looking to see when you get to that full moon, what has come to fruition, and really honoring that. It's a great because you can't, most things don't get done in a lunar cycle. You vision on the new moon. It's not like you're going to be done in a month. It usually takes a little longer for bigger things. So not always, but it's a nice timeline to work with.
I remember we talked too about looking at any conversations that we have right in the last, since May 2017. And if there's anything we need to clean up, speaking directly from the heart to resolve whatever that is, using this as an opportunity or springboard to do that.
And if you're in the Flower Evolution program, which probably you want to get that fringed orchid out, right? And just be using that to support you.
It makes everything so much easier.
Yeah, because maybe I just need to have my partner start taking these elixirs with me. Why is that not happening? Okay.
I have to say it's like a luxury that everybody at the office is taking the same elixir, because
that is so nice.
Everyone is sort of tapped in and going through the same things all at once. So it's really nice. I mean, yeah, definitely try to get as many of your friends and family members on the same
dose page. Them up. They're sleeping, you're pinching their nose, you're dropping them in. They're like, oh, sweet dreams. Okay. So new moon, beautiful, last eclipse of the season. And then the next day on Sunday, August 12th, is another really wonderful shift of energy. And we have Mars retrograde, yes, but Mars is moving signs into Capricorn. And so Mars loves to be in Capricorn, first of all. It's a happy sign for Mars. Okay. It's a very useful and functional Mars. And we're going to kind of go from this whole all these ideas and all this thinking and maybe any anxiety, to like more grounded and practical, like moving into not overthinking, but making strategies, right? Beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel of the Mars retrograde, and starting to feel that kind of reflecting and reorganizing your priorities, and starting to feel drive and ambition to find your footing, and you're going to get, land with both feet on the ground and in the end of the month and go forward with that Mars moving forward. So quality over quantity, right? If Mars and Aquarius had a million ideas, pick 3 of them that are really, that you can build out over a long term, right?
Is that what we've been doing?
Well,
all kinds of idea generation, and now we're going to pick 3, sort of.
Maybe. I mean, because Aquarius is an air sign, and it's definitely a thinking sign. And we have had a little bit of maybe frustration with not only, Mars retrograde with the energy levels, but with clear ideas or just getting focused, because it's just this big review time, and you don't know what you're going to go forward with when you're in review. And so people sometimes get frustrated with that and get a little like twisty in their minds, get a little angsty, So it'll be nice. It's starting to shift the energy in the month. That new moon, the Mars changing signs, really starting to shift the energy.
Okay.
And then that same day, there's a really nice little aspect between Venus and the North Node. They're making what's called a sextile. It's a flowing aspect. It's kind of like a trine, but not as flowy, but still a it's a nice thing.
It sounds like a Sex Pistol.
It's a Sex Pistol, and rock on, or punk rock on, actually. A sextile or a sextile, whatever you want to call it.
How does it make us feel?
It's forward-thinking feminine leadership. It makes you, it's a connection. It's Venus and it's the North Node, right? So feminine leadership, leading from the heart, future-oriented visioning, and just like feeling that and embodying that. It's nice with the Mars changing signs and that nice little aspect. A nice weekend. Really nice weekend.
That sounds great.
Yeah. And then we have a lot of like moon stuff happen until the next big aspect I'm going to share about, which is on the next weekend. So all week long, just live your lives, integrate. If you watch your chart with the lunar cycle, check it out. You might get triggered here and there, but there's not a lot of big stuff going on. There's a lot of space for integration and just being. What did you say before? You said we don't have to have a big aspect every day, right?
Thank goodness, right?
I know, right?
Doesn't have to be some major thing happening every single day.
Doesn't have to be like that. So this weekend is, the August 18th and 19th, we're going to have some Mercury action. Mercury is going to make a sextile to Venus on that Saturday. And this is really like creative inspiration and ideas that can help bring people towards a mutual vision.
Okay.
So it's a harmonizing aspect. And then that next day on the 19th, Mercury is stationing direct. So everybody, don't go buy a phone that day, okay? Just don't. It's like very, very still, but turning around and looking forward. So you don't have to look back anymore. You can look forward, but it's move out a little slowly as all retrogrades shift. More slowly than you want them to, but it's a great day. People love when Mercury stations.
Okay, I know everybody talks about this, but usually give it 3 to 5 days to like go out and buy that new car.
I would. I mean, if you've been waiting for the station and you're like your phone dropped in the toilet and you need whatever, you always have to take care of yourself. And I mean, I know somebody who bought a computer during the retrograde, and
sure.
It's just like, maybe it's just a little slower at sometimes. I think the transferring of data was taking a really long time. What are you going to do?
Right.
Sometimes you got to get a computer during a Mercury retrograde. Big deal. Don't be afraid of retrogrades. Okay. It's fine. Okay. And then I think, I'm trying to see my notes here, y'all. New format, so bear with me.
Yeah.
Yes, on that Sunday, we're also having another a trine. Now, this is a cool trine. A trine is a flow. Looks like a triangle. Right? Okay. It's that triangle energy. And this is the third trine of 3. So there's been a series building since December of 2017 between these planets, Jupiter in Scorpio and Neptune in Pisces. So there's been a longer story, and this is kind of like the final act in that story on this day. And it's been all about kind of deep healing and spiritual connection. This is it's a water trine, so there's a lot of kindness, compassion, and generosity available to us. And so it's like, how can you lift up or help another person this weekend, maybe? Mm-hmm. Like, there's a creative flow and like an emotional fluency and lots of insights, dreams arising from the depths and anchored in truth. And I think that it's a lovely aspect. And I think it could feel really just like some kind of completion in those realms of emotion, spirituality, creativity, something that you might have been working on for a while. So finally, you're at that place where you're like, understand it fully, or you're done with it, or you're ready to move on. Does that make sense?
Yes. And it would have begun in December of 2017. It would have sort of touched down and become more.
It began then, and there was a touchdown in May of this year. And then this is the last touch.
Hmm. And tell me one more time again what it's going to be like.
It's going to be a lot of generosity and compassion available. And it's been a longer story about healing and a deeper spiritual connection.
Wow.
Creative connections and creative flow. So we've got the Scorpio, the Jupiter and Scorpio, that depth and that truth. And we've got the Neptune and Pisces, which is that creative visionary. So it's a pretty beautiful aspect, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a nice weekend. All right. Then we really are going to start to move into this theme of coming back to Earth after eclipse season on Wednesday, August 22nd, Thursday, August 23rd, when the sun moves from Leo to Virgo. So that's a big shift in energy, right? We got the fixed fire, spicy Leo energy kind of landing on the Earth. And it's very much about kind of organizing the chaos of summer, right? We're preparing to shift seasons. Sun in Virgo, it's time to like pay attention to the details, take care of practical matters, efficient use of energy, and like cleaning up things, aspects of your life. It's a great time for a cleanse. It's a great time to clean out the garage, your inbox, just to organize, that kind of thing, right? We love that Virgo energy. It's good. So that's a shift. And then it's followed that weekend on the 25th of August, by some more earthing energy. It's called a grand Earth trine. And so what this means is that there's 3 pieces of this puzzle that are all trining each other. So it's almost like you could like draw a triangle, and they're all at the points. And we have the sun in Virgo, and we have Saturn in Capricorn, and Uranus and Taurus. So
they're all happy.
They're all happy. It's like all this like earth element energy in flow. So earth element is related to the environment, to food, to your body, to finances. These are some of the ways that earth manifests, right? And this is really support for your innovative, creative visions, and a really nice grounding container for this Pisces full moon that's coming the next day. So really lots of feminine energy with the earth and water. And I wrote down here, stabilized security meets innovative breakthroughs. Because we've got the sun trine Saturn, which is very like stabilizing, and and then we have that Uranus energy, which is like about a breakthrough. And like those things don't have to be mutually exclusive.
It sounds like any breakthroughs you have that weekend will have a strong foundation.
I think so. And I really like that it's a nice grounding energy before the full moon, because it's the Pisces full moon on the 26th. And I mean, you and I love it because we love Pisces energy, but it can be very emotional for some people. It can be very sensitive for people, but it's really cool full moon. It's conjunct a royal fixed star. We talk about that sometimes. This star is called Fomalhaut. Oh, I have a hard time saying his name.
What's it called?
It's called Fomalhaut. I can't say it. It's spelled Fomalhaut. Fomalhaut. Or Fomalhaut. I don't know how to say it. I'm sorry, Mr. Fomalhaut. Yeah, in any event, it is one of the royal fixed stars of Persia, and it's the watcher of the north. Because those 4 fixed stars are connected to the directions. And this one is really it's a very spiritual star. So like it's really about spiritual integrity. And the themes that we're looking at for this full moon in Pisces are aligning with your visions, creativity into form. There's a deeply introspective, kind of intuitive, inspired dream state that you can be enjoying on this full moon in Pisces conjunct Mr. F. As we're going to refer to him so I don't slaughter his name anymore. Poor guy. He's just up there shining, and I'm just down here making jokes about his name. So what rituals for the full moon, Katie?
Rituals for the full moon. Yeah, so I would say Pisces, paint, write poetry, dance, even if it's just like grab a postcard and write somebody a mini poem or, haiku. Write someone a little mini poem, find a good music soundtrack to channel your inner landscape. Of course, any day is good for spiritual practice, but this is especially going to feel easy to do your meditation, sit outside. You had said in Japan they had a haiku reading in the full moon.
I think there's like poetry, haiku, under the moon situations going on.
I love that so much. Oh God, I can't wait till we have the building, because we need to have a full moon viewing haiku reading poetry party. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah, my mouth is like, my jaw dropped. I'm like, oh, with the elixirs. Yes, that would be so beautiful. Oh, I can't wait. That's going to be really nice. Yes. Be near water if you can, or be in water. It's Pisces. It's a water full moon. That'll really help you process any feelings that are coming up. Don't schedule yourself. Let it be a free flowing kind of day. And, the shadow side, because the full moons really do bring up stuff from the subconscious for sure, and they do illuminate the shadows, would be kind of getting hooked up in any emotional drama. And that will be heightened by a square between Venus and Pluto. So heightened emotions, don't get, if you feel them, or if you're feeling super emotionally vulnerable, just like don't get hooked up in the power struggles and the drama. Like go to the water, go paint, like all the things that Katie said, like just remove yourself from the situation and get in touch with your feelings, process them, and then take your elixir, and then you can have a conversation from that heart space.
And this is all happening on Sunday, August 26th, right?
That's right. Full moon, big full moon, really magical. Again, with that fixed star, it's just a lot of mystical kind of energy coming through. So it'll be really nice. And then Monday, August 27th, big day. Mars stations direct in Capricorn. Yeehaw. So again, Mars has been retrograde for 2 months. Mars has been retrograde since June 26th. Okay. So Mars is stopping. Mars is turning direction, getting ready to move forward and start to create and manifest from the ideas and discoveries that have arisen during that 2 months of retrograde, right? So it's a slow move forward. Take your time. It's Capricorn. You don't have to rush. You can start to begin to initiate plans that you've been thinking about, one step at a time, making clear, decisive choices. Again, like that, those 3 ideas, or that just, don't overload yourself, but you are going to start to get that forward motion. Really, the end of the month is a very different feeling than when we came in and there's so much retrograde energy. We've got things shifting, and especially these personal planets that we really feel the retrogrades more than the outer ones. So yeah. So that's it.
People may notice that things that maybe not necessarily were stalling, but were like cooking. They were cooking,
stewing
in September, and thereafter there's a little bit more wind under the wings.
I'd say so. Yeah. Wind under the wings.
And then
that's
there's
it.
a square.
There's a square? Oh, yeah. There's a square. I lied. Shh. One last square.
Oh no.
To get us out of there. All right. It's a Mercury and Leo square, Jupiter and Scorpio. So again, this is, when these squares happen and when planets are retrograde, they often are in this dance where they meet up 2 or 3 times. And this is a 3rd square. And so it's kind of, again, like it's more support for initiating or activating the plans that you want to move forward with. It's going to just help stoke that initiative, because with squares, you have to make an effort. You can't just, not a trine where you sit around and just receive. It's a square. So you have to take initiative. You have to make an effort. You might have to take a risk. And you could sign maybe there's a contract you're ready to sign or something like that, or an idea you're ready to like put out there. The only failure in life is not trying. So this just, really supports that Mars stationing and moving forward, right? That tying back into our themes about visioning the future we want to live in, coming back to Earth after eclipse season, and embodied creative flow. Like it's just going to help all of that. And with the retrogrades ending, that's, time to move forward. We're not looking backwards so much.
Wow, I love that. I was just going to ask you for a summary of the themes, but that's pretty much it, right?
And the heart-to-heart communication with the Venus and Libra and all the Leo energy, and then, shifting to practical matters at the end of the month.
Really good conversations.
I think so. I think August is going to feel good compared to July. Since the end of June, it was a little tough. A lot of tough aspects, intense lunations, the eclipses, and even that full moon before the eclipse season was conjunct Saturn. That was intense. So I think August, especially after the second half, is going to feel much more grounded and like stuff you can make things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, without a lot of uphill. Well, it's like a little more of an ease. I think I'm looking forward to it.
So again, if you want to enhance your experience in August with flower essences, highly recommend to try the Fringed Orchid as a part of the Flower Evolution program. It's really helping us dissolve barriers. So tapping into the people around you, into the collective, having really electric communication, really being in tune with your heart and the wisdom from yourself in terms of communication. The other one I would recommend if you're looking for flower essence support would be the new blend that we have called Game Changer. I'll talk more about that in a second. But I just want to thank you again so much for listening to us as we try this new format and style. I know Kristina and I both really, really appreciate all of you listeners. It means a lot to us that you show up every month and listen to our funny conversations.
We love you.
We love you so much. So thank you so much. The next Moonshine episode will be released on September 1st. And again, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Katie. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much for listening to the Flowerlounge podcast. We now have listeners in 61 countries. And I just want to say that I'm so grateful that you'd spend your time with us. I also want to take a second to give a shout out to Lotus Way, who makes this podcast possible. We recently released a new flower essence blend that has been a game changer for us. In fact, it's called Game Changer, and it's a combination of the most powerful flower essences for being totally present. Because if you, like me, you might have experienced on occasion having a really big to-do list, a little overwhelming, feeling constantly on the go, and the sense that time is flying by. Where did last week go? You may want to check out the Game Changer. It makes you feel like you have all the time in the world. You can take breaks without feeling guilty, like you should be doing something else. You feel crystal clear with the ability to make decisions really effortlessly. And things that seem kind of heavy or a pain in the butt on your to-do list to do before now just seem like super easy. So if you have gotten any value out of listening to the podcast, we'd love your support. We're currently under contract to buy a new building where we'll be able to open a store, have an education center, offer botanical treatments and flower elixir happy hours, and have a cool new podcasting space that will be a major upgrade from where we are now. So at that time in the fall, when we move into our new space, we will have had a year of podcasting under our belt, and we'll be starting up a whole new format that you're going to love that will be even more engaging and interactive. So again, thank you so much for your support, for listening, and for spending time with us. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening to the Flower Lounge. I'm Katie Hess, and we'll be releasing a new podcast every Wednesday. If you like what you heard, or you know someone who might be touched by our conversation, share it with them. And don't forget to subscribe. To find out what your favorite flowers mean about you, take the quiz at lotusway.com.